So now that we've gotten all of the offense, I always say all of the offense, but let's completed that section of the offense from close guard. What do we do when we're in the close guard, right? It might be terrifying because it's like, they're going to do all these things to me while I'm in their close guard. But we have some good options. And remember, the biggest thing is to stay calm. Only move when it's up to you to move, if that makes sense. Don't move just to move. Don't be moving in jiu-jitsu because you think you need to move. Move when it's beneficial and it's intentional and done by you, okay? So oftentimes when I'm in a bad position in jiu-jitsu, it's like, it's my time to be patient, to wait out what my opponent's trying to do, try to figure it out, and try to examine and feel and sense for any holes in their game that I can exploit and take advantage of, okay? So good thing we already talked a little bit, how do we get in a good close guard? And I tell the kids to do a jiu-jitsu sit, and that's being on my shoelaces, knees wide, and sitting back. Some people like to be here. I don't like that because that puts my posture a little bit higher and gives people access to be able to hook underneath my ankles and my knees here, which is not something I like. So it might take a while to build up this flexibility. That's okay. It's honestly something that gets there pretty quick. So you can practice sitting like this, and notice I have my wider knees right here, so as Jade tries to push me over, I'm a little bit more stable as compared to if my knees are together, right? And
then,
earlier. And then if I'm up like this, it's easy for Jade to push me over as well, as compared to when I'm down and I'm a lot more stable, right? So I get into Jade's close guard. She locks it up. I have my wide knees. And now the first thing I want to do, like we always talk about, is my instinct is to keep my arms nice and tight in right here. And I keep my hands either up against her floating ribs or against her hips right here. I always prefer the floating ribs with like my thumbs kind of in there. So that way when she tries to break my posture, she's pushing that pressure into her own ribs. So it kind of goes against her. I'm very patient. I'm not moving just to move here. And we talked about in the instructional how we try to put our knee in the butt and we start moving backwards to break that. And even though that's very good, the reason why I went with that is because I wanted to display something. Okay? So we often think this is our opponent, this is who I'm trying to attack. So I'm in the closed guard, I'm like, well, I need to get over here, and I'm trying to attack her, and I might be throwing, Hail Marys and whatnot from this position, which, by the way, if she knows what she's doing, like, that's not a good option, right? To throw, hammers down from the top. Yeah, it's gonna end up bad. So anyway, Jade has a lot of control right here. Even if she just moves her knees to her chest, you see how she like rocks me forward? If she tries to move her knees to the side, I still have to address it a little bit. So she's got a lot of control here. So one of my best options, like I said, is to get in here and stay calm. Now, when I have no offense from here, and when I say that, unless you're an expert and you're going up against somebody who has no idea what they're doing, I have no offense from this position. The only way to continue to an offensive position is to break the guard, okay? So even though I'm right here, I'm not trying to move forward into her. Even if I'm a big, strong guy, maybe a wrestler or something, like, it's not beneficial. Some tiny person right here can easily take advantage of you by you exposing your hips and breaking your posture and, allowing them to get underneath you. Not good. So don't move forward, okay? Unless you have very certain things set up, which we'll talk about. You want to move backwards. The door to get out and escape close guard is right here. This is the door right here. I need to break this before I can move forward at all. Until then, I have nothing. All I can do is try to break close guard.
Reach for the door with your hands.
Yeah, and don't reach for the door with your hands. Well, yeah, that's a triangle city right here, right? So, unless you're doing some weird setup. So, just for now, okay, what we want to do is focus on our movement going backwards, actually. Creating tension on the door back here, which are her ankles, okay? I do not want to move forward. I do not want to go up, all right? So I like to get in here and get my elbows nice and inside. And if anything, I'm moving backwards. And you see as she drags, that friction drags her back on the ground, it's going to create tension back here. And she probably won't open right away like that, but I can still, worst case scenario, if I don't know anything, is I'm trying to walk backwards while pushing and extending away from her, okay? And the one we learned in the intro course, I like to put my knee in the butt, so it makes it even harder for her to follow me as I move backwards and I break that guard, okay? And of course, the second we get the guard broken, we knee staple. And we'll talk a little bit about that here in a second. So one more time over from this direction. Remember, I am not trying to move forward. My entire direction is backwards. I keep my arms inside because if I have my arms outside, she's going to start taking advantage of Kimuras, arm bars, triangles. It's not good. So I want to keep my arms on the inside, okay? Both arms. Remember, triangle requires one arm in and one arm out. If I have both my arms on the inside, she can't get a good triangle. If I have both arms on the outside, she can't get a good triangle, but she can start separating my arm away from my body, okay? And that's we talked about, the whole idea is to separate. The further her arm is away from her body, the easier it is to manipulate. Same thing with her. The further my arm is away from my body, the less strength I have with that arm, and the stronger she is to manipulate with it. Okay? I don't know if I said that correctly. So what I'm trying to do is trying to keep my limbs in and trying to have some sort of autonomy in this little region right here. And I'm trying to move backwards away from her. And oftentimes she won't just allow me to break that. She'll scooch forward and do whatever. So I'll put my knee in the butt to continue to move. And I like putting in the floating ribs or the hips here to move away and break that closed guard. The second I break the closed guard, I bring my knee between her and I. Because between her, if my knee and my shin, this frame is between her and I, the likelihood of her being able to close her guard is pretty low. And even if she is long-legged and able to break it, it's really easy for me, if she's long-legged and able to close that guard, it's really easy for me to break it because I can just extend right here and I knee staple. Okay, so my motion is backwards. Even if my upper body goes forward a little bit, it's because my hips are about to go backwards or they already are going backwards.